Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast. We are Phase 6, and today we're going to be talking about what we learned in our group communications podcast. My name is Andre Badillo. I'll be your moderator today. And with me I have Armand, Kayla, Nick, Yanni, and Hayden. Like I said, we're going to be talking about what we learned in our group communications class. But before we get into what we learned, I feel like it's really important to identify what our goals were going into the class. Armand?
My first goal is to respect the speaker. My second goal is to understand what everyone in the conversation is saying. And my third goal is to make good eye contact.
Okay, so for mine, I definitely wanted to become a better listener through this semester because I feel as if I'm a good speaker, but I struggled with listening to other people and silencing my own inner voice. I also want to learn how to resolve group conflicts because usually when problems arise, like with people, I tended to avoid the problem instead of like actually trying to get down to the bottom of it and overcome it. It's kind of like when you stay silent and then the problem gets brushed over, but nothing really happens. And then I also wanted to learn how to speak up in group settings because as my first goal, I wanted to become a better listener, but I felt as if that clashed with speaking up because I was so focused on listening to other people and hearing their thoughts that I didn't have the chance to get my points across at the end of the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The three goals that I established in the beginning of the semester were just being more well-spoken, using I don't want to use fill words such as like and and then my second goal was being less nervous when communicating. Obviously, we all get nervous when communicating with people, so you guys help me just break my nerves essentially.
Yeah.
And my third goal was just maintaining eye contact, having better posture, just the nonverbal cues when communicating.
Cool. Ready?
Yeah, so one of my goals at the beginning of the semester was to be a better listener in a group setting. I feel like it's hard to silencing that inner voice and everyone trying to talk over each other, it's hard. So I tried to get a little bit of what everyone was saying while also, making sure I'm hearing exactly what they're saying. And another one was to be able to take criticism better. I think it's easy to take that personal and be like, dang, you just attacked me, but I have to remember that it's most of the time it's for me being a better person, better communicator. So yeah, just take criticism better. And also to learn how to better address problems in a group setting. It's easy to if I'm having a conflict with Nick, I go to Kayla and be like, oh, Nick did this, Nick did that. But that is one of the worst ways to go about conflict in a group. So, just address conflict as a whole. It's better.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Hayden?
My three goals that I want to accomplish were visual expressions, speaking clearly, and not repeating the same sentences. As you may know, I do have ADHD, and I sometimes tend to get nervous while speaking publicly, especially in groups. But I figured that when I took this class, I was able to improve on that. Of those three goals, though, I honestly think the one I had the most hard with was speaking clearly. I, in the past, have spoken quietly. Too quietly, people don't know when I'm speaking, but I feel like with this I've improved on that. Another one of mine is my facial expressions, as I do tend to get nervous, especially in communication groups in public. I've been hoping I can work on that in the future. And my last goal was about not using the same sentence over and over again. People will find that very annoying because you're just repeating the same thing and you're not being very creative and sort of matters.
Yep.
And I feel like I've improved on that during this semester in this class.
Cool. Now that we kind of know what everyone's goals were going into this class, we can start talking about what we learned. And something that we learned, which is really kind of my biggest takeaway, was different types of communication. What do you guys think?
Indeed.
Yeah. So besides verbal communication, I learned lots about nonverbal communication because when we recorded our first podcast about gun control, I found that I wanted to hear what everyone else was saying without having my voice go over theirs. So I used lots of head nods or leaning forward, kind of silently reassuring them, saying yes after what they're saying, just to let them know that I was listening to them.
It's terms of engagement when you're talking to people, there's a really big difference between listening like this and listening intently to someone saying, right? For myself, especially too, when I'm talking to people, especially when I'm one-on-one, if they talk for a really, really long time, I tend to zone out a lot, right? If you and I are having a conversation and then I'll be making eye contact with you and then maybe 10, 15 minutes in, I'll zone off like this.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm not listening to you. It's just that like I don't know, like my brain goes in so many places. But even if I'm looking here, I'm still listening to you. But it might not be apparent that I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
So like nonverbal communication like that is really, really important.
Yeah, I also think that eye contact is really important too, because I used to really struggle with like making eye contact, but I felt like through this semester, like since I'm so comfortable with you guys, it's like so easy. Like I'm just like talking to you guys naturally now, and I felt as if that really helps with like communication overall, because it shows that you care about that person and you want them to hear the message you're trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to like point out too, like everyone's nonverbal is a little different, right? It's easier to say, well, just lean into my conversation or just nod or like, you know,
Yeah.
give me the verbal recognition that I need, right, to know you're listening. But like when I'm conversing with my sister, like she will be on her phone or something, or she'll be looking at something else, but she's great at multitasking, right? This
Yeah.
is what she does, right? And she's listening, but I'm like, are you listening to me? I don't feel like you're listening. But her nonverbal, it's different than mine, right? Like I expect her to look me in my eyes, you know, be like, yeah, but that's, hey, everyone's got it different. But
Yeah.
Overall,
you know.
just like it's better to just have good eye contact in a conversation. It shows that you're actively listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
It just shows that you're more engaged with
Yeah.
the speaker.
At least it makes the speaker feel like
Yeah,
you're
it just
more
makes
Yeah,
makes them
yeah.
comfortable. Yeah.
For their sake, at least.
exactly, you know.
Another nonverbal communication type that I've noticed a lot is like talking with your hands and hand gestures, and it's something that I noticed that Yanni does really well. Like whenever we're in meetings or whatever, and she gets really passionate, she loves talking with her hands like this.
I
Right?
do it all the time.
I feel like it's really productive to talk with your hands because especially if you're talking about something that you're really passionate about, talking with your hands emphasizes the points you're trying to make.
Yeah.
I will say sometimes it is distracting for other people, but it's like when you're really passionate about, look, I'm doing it now. When you're passionate about something, like it's hard for you to just like stop. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it just comes naturally when you're
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
You said it was a little distracting, but I think it's kind of the opposite,
Really.
right? Because when you're listening to someone talk, right, you're listening, right? But then there's a difference between listening and seeing someone talk as well. You know what I mean, right? Like if you're listening to a podcast, then you're just listening. But if I'm talking to someone and they're talking with their hands, then it gives me something else to focus on while they talk.
No, like you're just doing it right now. You're like listening. I'm like, okay, he's being expressive of what he's
Right.
talking about.
Right.
Right,
Or,
so
like
it-
he really cares
Correct.
about it, you know?
Like it gives the listener something else, like another stimulus to like pay attention to while you're talking.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
Another thing that we talked about in this class was our ability. I think someone else brought this up earlier in their goals, was the ability to silence their inner voice, right? Like our first podcast was about gun control and gun violence, right? And especially if it's a really hot ticket item, the ability to silence your inner voice is really important to help other people in the conversation get their points across.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What do you guys think?
I agree.
That was one of the hardest things for me this semester, right? Because like I feel like before you take a class that like points out that you do things like this, like that you're not really listening, like actively listening, like you wouldn't notice it before, right? So like, you know, I feel like a lot of people always just like talk over someone when they're like, oh, they're talking, but like I want them to hear me, so I'm just gonna talk louder. But that's not the right way to go about it. You just gotta wait and listen. But this was really hard for me this semester.
Yeah, you really gotta silence your inner thoughts and
Yes.
have an open mind and let other people talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
go.
want everyone to really have like a say, and like for our podcast, everyone really got to establish how they felt about the subject. So that really helped us grow and have our podcast like come out to where it was.
I think it's important too because if you're talking to someone that has like an opposite opinion of you, if you're not silencing your inner voice, you're kind of missing out on a lot of really good information.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's not the same opinion that you have and you might not agree with it, but they might come up with some really good points, right? Like it'll help you kind of understand the opposite side a little bit more if you're silencing your inner voice.
And
Yeah.
it makes them feel respected too.
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
listening to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
The thing I want to point out, kind of like on the topic regarding silencing your voice, is that you always want to speak before excuse me, I said it incorrectly. You want to think before you speak, because whatever comes out of your mouth, you know, you can't take it back.
Yep.
You always
Yeah.
want to think twice before speaking.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I want to spend a little bit more time on that respect thing.
Yeah.
If like especially when you're communicating one-on-one with someone, if they don't feel respected, then they're not gonna like put effort into the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And silencing your inner voice is really, really important when you're talking about like respecting the other person's voice as well, because you know, like they feel just as strongly as you do. right? And if you're trying to have a productive conversation about something, they have to feel respected.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have like ever experienced this, but have you ever been in a conversation with someone, right, where you're passionate about what you're talking about, right? And they're like, they haven't been listening for the past 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, what'd you say?" That is one of the worst feelings ever, right? Because I'm like, I feel really strongly about this, and you didn't hear a word I just said.
Yeah.
Like, now I have to repeat myself, or like, it feels like you don't care, right? So, respect it means a lot.
That happens a
Yeah.
lot because they're mostly just focused on what they want to say instead of what you have to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really just goes both ways. Not only does it really help you when conversing with someone, but also gives the other person reassurance that
Yeah.
that you're listening. You know, like you actually care about what they're saying.
Exactly.
Honestly, while we're on the topic, I think that might be like the biggest takeaway that I've had from this class is my inner voice.
Yeah.
Cool. And then another thing that we spent a lot of time in this class was like group bonding,
Yeah.
right? Like y'all are my homies, you know.
Yeah.
I think especially going into this podcast right now versus the last one is that I feel way more comfortable with talking with you guys, especially as a group because like we spend a lot of time like getting to know each other, becoming friends, not just classmates.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that just helps with the flow of conversation a little bit more.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
We really did grow a personal bond with each other. It feels more of like a family, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
And our conversations feel more natural, right?
They do.
Like when
Yeah.
we practice our podcasts, like it didn't feel like robotic or anything like everyone da 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 da. Like it was very natural and like we're just having a regular conversation. So
I think this is one of the only classes that I've taken here at Solano where I came out of it with homies. You know what I mean?
yeah.
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 So true.
Like every other class, like I've taken a stats class, calculus, I've taken chemistry, I've taken business classes, right? And all of them, like, yeah, sure, I'll make friends here and there, like people to ask for help with homework or whatever. But it's like in this class, in this group of 6 people, where I feel like, like after I graduate tomorrow, I'm gonna hit you guys up.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Right.
Like I've been saying, like y'all gotta hit me up this summer to come hang out because I feel like, especially when we're doing podcasts or we're talking about things, right? Like it's way easier for me to communicate easily.
Yeah.
Right? Like the flow of conversation is just so much better when we're friends.
We've grown like such a strong bond that it's like, damn, today's really our last
Yeah.
day.
Our last recording.
That sucks.
Crazy.
I think that makes it great too because like since we're so comfortable with each other, it doesn't feel as if we're forcing anything.
Yeah.
Like we know we can just like openly say our thoughts and then like as we're all taking this class like through the semester, we learn to silence our inner voice and that really helps because we're like learning with each other.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, Professor Poff, like, he set this class up to where it wasn't so, like, oh, you have to do this, 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 and that. Like, yeah, we had stuff to do and we had responsibilities that we had to, take on, right? But, like, he also made it to where we could focus on becoming friends with so many different people. And, like, this class for me, it wasn't so like high stake, but it was also like I'm coming to this class with a goal, right? And I want to learn something, and I want to be a better communicator, but I also got to know so many different people and learn their communication styles and just like we got to progress together. So
I think that like the nature of the class is so that it wasn't so high stress
Yeah.
and that helped you become a better communicator.
Yes.
That helped us get more comfortable with each other. And like I really do feel like at the end of this class, like I'm gonna go back to work tomorrow, coach some kids, and I'm gonna be a better group communicator. And that's
Right.
all because I was able to practice those skills in a comfortable and familiar setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really established early on, like on our first day as a group, that we want to make this like a group-oriented project, not really like,
Yes.
we don't really want to focus on the project, like only do the project every day. Like we really want to get to know each other.
Yeah.
And because of that,
Yeah,
sorry.
like kind of not treat this like it's a 9 to 5 and you're just
Yeah.
like stressed
Right.
out about
Yeah.
this. It's more like just chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of that, we ended up coming out of the class better communicators anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And better friends.
Yeah. That being said, though, right, something that we did struggle with a lot this semester was time management. I feel like we could have done a little bit better with that, especially for like showing up to group meetings on time. Because we made the environment so lax, like there was definitely more than a few times where I was a little bit more than 10, 15 minutes late.
Yeah,
What do you guys
same.
think?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we did have the thing where we would like text each other in the group chat like before, like notifying us that we were late. But then I felt as if we weren't really on top of it. Like, yeah, we did that, but like it was still more important for all of us to be here at the same time, present with each other.
I feel like that relates a little bit to like the real world too, right? Like if you're on a team in a business setting, right, and your team sets a meeting for 11 a.m., right? Like, you got to be there at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't be 10, 15 minutes late because the consequences are real.
Yes.
I feel like we should have practiced that mindset a little bit more in this class than we did.
Yeah, I think we were definitely very lenient when it came to coming to class on time, or we wanted to let each other know 24 hours in advance, like whether you were going to be late. Obviously, you can't always do that. You know, something comes up, but like Andre said, in the real world, they don't care
They
if
don't.
you hit traffic or they, you know, or unless it's an emergency, obviously, right? But like, you know, we're all adults here. We have to, you know, we have to give time for traffic, right? Like, I leave my house 40 minutes early, and I live in Vacaville. That's only like 15 minutes away, right? But I leave early because I know there's traffic, I know there's this and there's that. And like, anything could happen, right? So you just gotta, you know, give time for that.
Yeah, well,
Right.
like I said, we established like earlier, like the setting that we want to provide for ourselves. So we didn't really want to give strikes to each other because we really we're like friends. You don't want to give a strike to your friend.
Yeah.
You know, so it was more like we're more friends than classmates.
Mhm.
Yeah.
basically.
Correct.
We
I feel
really-
like
Yeah, you can cut.
I feel like we still need to hold each other accountable, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Definitely should have enforced the strike system.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Strike system.
Along with like showing up to meetings or group meetings on time, we also struggled a lot with like using our whatever time we had efficiently.
Yeah.
Because we're all friends, it was really easy to like hop in and just talk.
Yeah.
But I feel like we definitely could have gotten work done first and then socialize a little bit after. What do you guys have to
Yeah.
say?
I agree with that because I feel as if we like when we did our podcast on gun control, it was good. I was proud of it, but we could have we could have done our best potential if we like focused on the work first, then socialize after.
Yeah.
Because then we would like come in and then talk, and then we would do like a mock, but we never had something strict to stick on or follow. Or even like when we would do our research, we weren't really strict on that. We were kind of just like, let's do our research and we'll show up and do a mock like that.
Yeah, we really did start off topic, just talking about random things, and then at
Yeah.
the end of the class, we're like, okay, come on, guys, let's get some work done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We needed more organization.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true.
Shout out to Kayla too, right? Like, Kayla was really kind of like our interim secretary for the group. She did a great job. Like, whenever we were productive during class,
Yeah.
Kayla would always type up what we did, or like she would give us all the notes from the meeting or on the Google Doc. So shout out to Kayla for real.
Thank you.
But I feel like if
Kayla.
we like defined those roles a little bit earlier, then we would have been a little bit more productive. Or
Yeah.
like if we had an agenda for each meeting, like, hey, today we're gonna complete all our research. Or maybe even implement a second strike system. Like, hey, like if you didn't get your research done by the end of the class, like you gotta show us your research at the beginning of the next one, or it's a strike or something.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
So something where we had an agenda to follow to keep us on track, that would have helped a lot.
Yeah, we definitely sacrificed the potential of what our podcast could have been,
Yes.
but at the same time, we did come closer as a group.
That's
So
very
you
true.
could argue that our
Yeah.
podcast did come out better
Mhm.
because we had way more chemistry.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I think there's pros and cons to how we went about doing it.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
we became closer. Our conversations were more natural. I
Yeah.
feel like if we all like were to split off and be like, you do this, you do that, you do that, we would not have been close,
Yeah,
right?
no,
And like
Yeah.
we wouldn't have became, you know, the way we are. It would have been very robotic. Like, Hayden, your turn. Armand, your turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have
Right.
felt natural. But also, you know, maybe our podcast would have been better if we were more organized. Maybe if we didn't socialize so much. You know.
Yeah.
We just yeah.
I think something that contributed to that was that like I trusted you guys to get your
Yeah.
work done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Like it was cool to see you guys twice a week because I got to see you guys because you guys are my homies. And at the same time, like I knew that once we left the classroom, like I trusted you guys to get your research done.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
trusted you guys to like get your key points down on paper so that we could do the mock podcast the next time. And so I feel like if the situation was different where like I didn't trust you guys, like if I felt like you guys were slackers, then I would have been more on top of you in meeting. You know what I mean? I would have been like, hey, like, gotta get it done.
True. Like we
But-
got a deadline.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But like I trusted you guys.
I mean,
right?
yeah, we did socialize a lot, and I mean a lot.
Yeah.
But at
That's
the end of the
what-
day, we got the
it
job done.
We did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was good work
Yeah.
too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't
Yeah.
like half-ass work. It was
Yeah.
We did always
quality
have the
content.
research.
No, we did it the whole time. We socialized, but we got the work done, and we're here now. So
Mhm.
we did something right.
Yes, we did.
I think one of the last things that we wanted to talk about today was like holding each other accountable too. I mean, that kind of goes back to what I just talked about, like, hey, like I trust you guys, whatever. But like, I feel like in the real world too, you have to hold your teammates accountable.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm gonna say it again. Like being late. Like I'm definitely more than guilty of that. Right.
Yeah, I can agree. Me
Right.
too. Me too.
It's confession time.
I was late more than a few times. Right?
Yeah.
Like being on task during meeting, especially because we're friends, we should feel like we're more comfortable holding each other accountable.
Right.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
If you were my friend in real life, right, and you were just watching me like spiral in a downward circle, I would be like, okay, come on, lift me up, like encourage me, So,
So,
think about that.
do you guys think if we were more like assignment oriented, you think we would have gave out a strike?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think so.
We
Yeah.
definitely
100%.
needed to enforce the strike system.
Yeah.
Right. I think we still could have been close and
While
good
still-
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
50-50.
still enforce that system,
Yes.
We made it for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely a way to do both.
Yes.
To be like goal oriented or like assignment oriented and socialize at the same time.
Yes.
But we got the job done. So
Right.
like for in the future though, like if we are like in a different class or if you like are at work or with a job or something, right? Like we have to take these lessons home with us
Yes.
and try to implement them in the future, which I feel
Yeah.
like I would do at least. Not just me.
I mean, if we're being honest, I feel like this definitely did give like a mindset for the future. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
we were chill right now, but in the future, you gotta like take a step into reality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because this like working with you guys and working with other people, I feel like that helps with jobs too, like in like work
Yes,
settings,
100%.
talking with your coworkers and overcoming that. I feel as if I learned a lot from this class and how to. I feel like I can use the things I've learned from this class to in the real world.
Yes.
Mm.
100%.
The way that I look at it is like I'd rather make the mistakes here
Yeah.
while the
Yeah.
consequences aren't as serious than to make them out there where the consequences are.
It's like
Right.
learning steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right? It's like training wheels for the real world.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it was a good lesson for all of us to learn. And I think we definitely took it away from the class. Like, yes, we were lenient, and you can make those mistakes now, kind of. But once you get out of here, me, Andre, Hayden, we're gonna be out of here tomorrow. So we gotta start applying now, right? You have to get ready and start getting used to this kind of stuff. Make a routine, whatever you gotta do to get it done. Just do it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's been the podcast. Again, thank you for watching. We are Phase 6, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Phase 6 on 3. 1, 2, 3, phase 6!
Nice.
Nice.
Nice.